Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome to a very special video. So today I'm going to be showing off my entire PlayStation 3 video game collection. And right off the bat, not a very big collection, only 30 games. So not very big size-wise, but very big in my heart. I adore the PS3. I adore pretty much every game here in this collection. I got the PS3 for Christmas when I was in 8th grade, so that was in 2010. And I played it to death all throughout my first 3 years of high school. Around the end of my junior year of high school, so in 2014, it just it stopped working. Like games would freeze no matter what. And over the last 10 years, I've tried reviving my PS3, and sometimes I'd get it to work for days or weeks on end, but it always just ends up having more issues. So I ended up just saying I'm gonna have to get a new PS3. So I have not really gotten to play a lot of these I have on other consoles, so I am still able to play them. But these specific ports I haven't really had a chance to play, and these have kind of just been sitting in storage for the better part of the last 10 years. But a lot of them I was able to migrate over to other consoles, so I was able to play them, and as such, depending on which one it is, I'll be giving my 2 cents. And yeah, a lot of sports games. Approximately half of the 30 here are sports games. Because middle school and high school were my sports sim years, I guess, and shooters. So yeah, I will give my 2 cents if I can, because some of these I actually haven't played for reasons relating to my original PS3 shitting the bed. But yeah, we'll go through them and give my 2 cents, and we'll begin. And we're in alphabetical order, so we'll begin with Alpha Protocol. And oh man, I forget. This is like one of those third person shooters, right? I played it a little bit around like my sophomore year. I remember like this is one of those pickups where I begged my grandparents to take me to GameStop after school and grab this for like $5, a dollar, however much it was. Your weapon is choice. Yeah, this was like I think a third person shooter. I played it a couple times, didn't get very far. So yeah, but definitely looking to tackling it in depth when I start playing PS3 again. Batman Arkham Asylum. This was one of my first games I ever got for the PS3 on Christmas, that Christmas day of 2010. And this is one of my favorite games of all time. This game is absolutely perfect. I think this is better than Arkham City, which might be a hot take, but this game is just fucking perfect as far as sandboxes with a very linear structure. It's just perfect. The combat, the graphics, the story, even the font of the subtitles. I remember enjoying that more than like Arkham City or any other game in this series. Just a home run. What a phenomenal game! Such a phenomenal story, great combat. It's great. I'm at a loss for words. I get sucked into the story. I love replaying the story. I've done so a million times. And it never gets old. Just a very special game. Then we have Battlefield Bad Company 2. Didn't play this a whole lot for reasons relating to this next guy right here. But this is a very good shooter. Battlefield 3. Probably my favorite shooter of all time. Certainly my favorite shooter for this generation. Um, and I think I put more hours into its competitor, Modern Warfare 3. But this one is among the two, it is the superior, it is the better shooter. I mean, the graphics, the controls, just pristine. Absolutely stunning. This is a 7th gen shooter done right. Fucking love this game. Now, this brings us to Biohazard. This, I believe, is a Resident Evil game, I think. So the story with this one is I bought a GameCube off a guy like years ago on like Facebook Marketplace, and he gave me a couple of games with it. And among them was Resident Evil 2, like the GameCube port of that game, which by the way, that GameCube port sucks. But then he hit me up later, a couple days later, was like, "Hey, can I have that game back? I'll give you a bunch of games in exchange." I was like, "Okay." So he gave me like Star Fox Adventures. He gave me some Wii U games, and he gave me this. Now this is like 5 years ago or so, so I have not had a chance to play it, and I don't even think it works because I don't think it's a Region One uh, disc, so it won't work on a Region One PS3. But I remember watching a couple of videos on YouTube about this, and the graphics look pretty stunning. But when I do start playing PS3 again, this is definitely something I'm interested in taking a look at. Bionic Commando. This is another one. You can see the $5 sticker from GameStop. This is another one of those, like, my grandparents would pick me up from school. This is like my sophomore year, and I'd ask them to take me to GameStop, and I'd grab a game while I was there. It's about this. Another third-person shooter. It's about this guy who's got like a mechanical arm, as you can tell there. He's like court-martialed or like sentenced to death or whatever. So he's on the run from the government. Again, didn't get too far. Again, like a third-person shooter, but it was pretty decent. Another one of my all-time favorites, Burnout Paradise. Perfect, perfect, perfect. My favorite racing game of all time. Probably one of my top 5 favorite video games, along with Arkham Asylum. One of my top 5 favorite video games of all time. This is amazing. Another, I'm a sucker for a sandbox, especially when it's done right. I love exploring the environment. I love the races. I love the stunt runs, the road rages where you just take down other cars. It's so fun. It's so exhilarating. Like you kind of turn your brain off a little bit and just have fun. And I'm so glad that they remastered it for for 8th gen, and because I have the remastered on the Switch, so I'm able to play that, and I have it on the 360. This is just an amazing game. Not much else to say. That brings us to the original Modern Warfare trilogy, starting with Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. This one was interesting. I think the graphics and story for its time were very, very good. I don't, I have trouble ranking. Like, I didn't like, again, middle school, high school were my Call of Duty years, and I haven't touched that franchise with a 10-foot pole since then. But this one I always enjoyed. I think World at War might be my favorite. It's tough to say, and I had that for the 360. But this one was pretty good. And then Modern Warfare 2. I think I liked the story of these 3 of this trilogy. I think I liked the story the most in this. I don't know, just I could be totally off base because I haven't played it in so long. But there was like, I think just a grittiness to it. I think that I preferred. I don't know, but very good. And then the one of the 3 that I logged the most hours in, Modern Warfare 3. I got this for Christmas my freshman year of high school, and I was stoked. I poured so many hours into that survival mode where you just fend off waves and waves and waves of enemies. That's where I poured most of my hours with this game, though I did get a good bit into the story. Of the 3, I got the farthest, I think, in the story, though I prefer the story of Modern Warfare 2. Excuse me. And the graphics are my favorite of these 3. But again, I think World at War is probably my favorite Call of Duty overall. Gran Turismo 5. Another fantastic, visually stunning racing sim. Of course, Sony and PlayStation have been killing it for years, all the way back to Gran Turismo 3 and 4 on the PlayStation 2. And this continues the trend. Just as far as realistic, non-arcadey racing games go, cream of the crop, for at least for this console generation. Kingdom Hearts 2 Dead Days. To be honest, I've only played this a couple times, and I didn't get a chance to really dig into it because issues related to my PS3. But this is like near the top of my list of games I want to tackle when I pick up a new console. It's pretty much all sports, almost exclusively sports from here on out. And I'll try to be quick because some of these I don't care for as much as others. Madden 10. This one, the graphics. Sorry, I keep clearing my throat. The graphics were okay. I didn't think the gameplay was much to write home about, but it was serviceable. This one, however, this is my favorite Madden of all time, Madden 11. This one was absolutely addicting. I love the graphics. I love the gameplay. Love the user-friendly CPU and presentation, I guess. I always found it very, very easy to score touchdowns and get yards in this game than any other Madden I've ever played, other than maybe 12. And 13 was okay too. But this one is where it's at. You know, all the sponsors like Old Spice and Doritos and Gus Johnson's commentary. Like this Madden is just where it's at. Absolutely love this. MLB 2K7, haven't really played this a whole lot because I've poured probably 10 trillion hours into MLB 2K6 on the PS2. But it's okay. Now we're getting into basketball. Starting with 2K8, got this one summer, I think 2013 at GameStop for like $1. And yeah, 2K still had a ways to go around this time for reasons that I'll get into when we read some of these more recent titles. But this one was NBA 2K10 with the light-skinned Kobe, God rest his soul, on the cover. So the story with me in basketball is I went to my sister's house around 1 December when I was in middle school, and she had a game for the PS2 called NBA Hoops that I played, and it was so addicting and so fun. And I asked for it for Christmas, not realizing it wasn't a recent game. And I got 2K10 for Christmas, but it was the PS2 port, which at the time, 2009, was all I had. I didn't have a PS3 or a 360 at this point yet. So playing the crappy PS2 port of 2K10 is how I fell in love with basketball. And so when I got my hands on a 360 and a PS3, as a way to pay homage to that, I was like, I got to get 2K10. So, of course, this is the official version of the game. And this version, this official port, sucks. Oh, my God. The controls are not user-friendly. It is such a rigid and stiff game. Again, around this time they definitely and don't get me started on those stupid menus where like it's like panels of like 3 3 and 3, and like you had to hold the analog stick in place, otherwise the thing would just revert back to the middle. Like who designed the menus on this game? So like 2K still had some kinks to work out around this time. But that brings us to a turning point. NBA 2K11. So this might be the most consequential basketball game of all time. Might be the most consequential sports game of all time. Might be one of the most consequential games of all time. Because if you remember back, originally it was, during the earlier 2K era, it was an arms race. You had NBA 2K, you had NBA Live, you had Sony's NBA series, which we'll get to in a second. You had a real arms race and competition of who could make the best basketball sim. And then, of course, for the 2010-11 season, EA Sports put out their reboot of NBA Live, or their rebrand, NBA Elite 11. And the demo, as you may recall, got absolutely flamed. Remember the Andrew Bynum Jesus bind pose at half court and all those viral videos? So NBA Elite 11 got canceled. 2K11 at the same time was a phenomenal game, which I'll get to in a second. And this was a real turning point because 2K, on top of becoming, it would have just become the premier basketball sim regardless, but then it became the only basketball sim. And so 2K became the premier sports game in general. And of course, all that greed and money and success went to 2K's head. So now you have today a very predatory microtransaction system that did not exist during this time. And 2K is definitely not what it used to be. Sports games in general are not what they used to be. So while 2K11 is a phenomenal game, the graphics, the controls, the soundtrack, oh my God, so many bangers. Gimme symphonies. Oh my God, there's so many bangers on this soundtrack. So while this is one of the best 2Ks of all time, one of my favorite 2Ks, for better or for worse, it is a very consequential game. Hot take, 2K12 is better. This one was so much fun. The NBA Greatest mode with unique presentations. Like, so if you were playing with Wilt Chamberlain or Bill Russell's teams, you had like a black and white, very grainy visual with like old school scoreboards. It was a dream package for a basketball fan, who wanted to explore and honor the game's history. On top of the core game just having great visuals for its time and a wide variety of game modes and user-friendly controls, 2K12 was awesome. Another watershed moment for the series was 2K13. They almost completely retooled the entire enterprise, from the menus to the controls with the control stick, which of course meant that if you wanted to shoot the ball with the control stick, you now had to hold down the left trigger. It wasn't perfect, you couldn't block dunks. There were a lot of bugs, a lot of glitches, but they put about 10 fresh coats of paint on what was already a sturdy house, and 2K13 was a lot of fun. And finally, 2K14. My grandfather took me to Walmart after school to pick this up day of release, and this might be my favorite 2K of all time. Not just for that sentimental reason, because I had been saving up my money for months to buy this game, and he still paid for it when we went to Walmart to get it. So I appreciated him doing that. God rest his soul. This eliminated all the bugs that 2K13 had, like when you would call a timeout and the scoreboard would disappear. This game got rid of those bugs. They retooled an already good concept with the control stick, and then they renamed it the Pro Stick, where you could still move the right analog stick back and forth to do all those isomotion controls, but then you could just pull it down to shoot regularly. You didn't need the left trigger anymore. So they took everything that worked about 2K13 and improved upon it, while gutting or rectifying the issues it had. But then, of course, the official version as a launch title for PS4 and Xbox One came out, and that was it for me and 7th Gen 2K. NBA Live 09 in a GameStop case. There's Tony Parker he was the cover boy. Graphics were okay. Of course, the net did not swish when you put it through, but that was decent. Now here's a severely underrated basketball game, one of my favorites, NBA 09 The Inside, developed by Sony. Again, it was an arms race back in the day, and this, in full 1080p, this was beautiful. For 2008, the graphics were phenomenal. And the life story mode, you had 3 different options. You could do the story as a point guard, a small forward, or a center, with all different mini games and cutscenes in between. The core gameplay was pretty good. Oh, and you had the All-Star Weekend mini games as well. There was just a boatload of features that really carried, like, when discussing what makes this game so great, the mini games and different features are definitely what tell the majority of the story. The core gameplay itself, I would definitely prefer it to the 2Ks of its time. Newer 2Ks like 12, 13, and 14, I'd say would blow it out of the water, again, albeit by design. But this was a very, very awesome basketball game, and I love it a lot. Poured a lot of hours into it. NCAA Football 09. This one was interesting. I remember being able to, like, intercept the ball and then just run laps around the field, and not even on the weaker difficulties too. Like it had, I don't want to say buggy AI, but it had some really weak AI, and there were like 4 different commentators who would just, like, sometimes the game would glitch and the 4 would just talk over each other like really loudly, like they were arguing. I had fun with this, but it was a very strange game. Need for Speed Most Wanted, probably my second favorite racing game of all time after Burnout Paradise. Also developed by EA and Criterion, and as such, I think it draws a lot from Burnout Paradise, or the Burnout series in general, in terms of the freedom, the open world sandbox element, the very smooth, seamless controls, physics, and of course, stunning graphics. On top of having the license to actually have real cars, whereas Burnout Paradise did not. But yeah, this is a very excellent game, and I have it for the 360 too. Looking forward to playing this more in the future. Here's 2 I don't really care about. NHL 09 and 10. As far as hockey games go, I prefer 11, 12, and 13. And they all just kind of bleed into each other. Not a huge hockey fan, but these 2 were okay. Now here's one of my favorites, Tony Hawk's Project 8. Oh my god. You cannot tell the story of Seamus and his video games without this one. It all started on the PS2, then this one here on the PS3 and the 360. I have logged hundreds of hours into this bad boy. Love the story. It's so fun. Love the free skate options. Love the open world, and the differences where the PS2 you had to pause the game and manually jump from one area to the next. The official port, you could just traverse the entire map in one fell swoop, and the skate park was always my favorite. Love doing all sorts of crazy tricks and combos, and just having fun. This was one of my favorites to play while skipping school. Don't tell anyone. When I was in high school, one of my favorites. Turning Point Fall of Liberty. This was one of those weird shooters. Like, I think the story is like, it's like a hypothetical of what if Winston Churchill had died like 8 years before the start of World War II? What if the Nazis had won? I didn't get too far into it. No, it is a first person. I was about to say third person. No, it is a first person shooter. I remember the graphics not being anything special, but I think I'll dive back into it when I start playing these games again. And finally, UFC 2009 Undisputed with a $60 brand new sticker on there. I got it used at GameStop, but I love how the stickers are still on there. Which they plastered it on the artwork. Those savages. That can ruin the art. My God. But this is a lot of fun. Oh my God. This is one of those games I'd go into the light heavyweight division with Tim Boach and do the head like the Superman punches and the head kicks, and I would just knock out opponents no matter what their ratings were. I don't even know if the ratings mattered much, like a 79 overall versus like a 93. Because who else was in the light heavyweight division? Shogun, Dan Henderson, I think. But whoever I would fight against, I would just pick Tim Boach, and I would just go on a rampage. Not Rampage Jackson. I don't wait. Was he in the light heavyweight division too? I forget. But this was so much fun. I've poured a lot of hours into this, and yeah, I have it on the 360 as well. So I've always had fun with this one. That's gonna do it for my PS3 game collection. If you've made it this far, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell to get notified next time video drops. See you in the next one. Take care.